Hello and welcome to another Warcraft V audio commentary. Today we're going to be watching a game. It's a top replay over at replayers.com, and which you should check out. That website. It's a really cool website, still active, and they also have a poll up that has 10 of the best, possible best replays of the replay for the replay of the year 2013 poll that they do pretty much every year. And it's really fun, it's really great. You should go over there and check it out and vote if you haven't, because voting for the replay of the year is one of the best things you can do, in my opinion. It's so much fun. And if you haven't seen some of those games, you can watch them. And I'm thinking, I'm going to look and see, I kind of want to do some casts on those replays, because some of those are really, really good games that I haven't seen. So we'll probably do some of those in the next, the next week or so. So we'll see about that. But seriously, do please go over there and vote. Check the website out. It's a great website. It's been running for a long time. I used to work there as an approver and as an admin, I think, later on. So it's a really, really good website. I don't work there now, but I haven't worked there for a long time. But really, what I'm trying to say is that you should support the website. Go check it out. And like I said, this is a game that's currently listed as a top replay on their website. So that's cool. That's where I got it from. All credit due, whatever, etc., etc. Let's introduce our players. On the left side of the map, we have Thu spawning in as the Purple Night Elf. This is Terranus stand, of course, and as you can see, he is going with an Altar of Elders. So he's going for a very late Altar of Elders, in fact, so it looks like he is going for a Tavern Hero, because we're about 2 minutes, almost to 2 minutes in the game right now. And we have Infi, of all players. Infi spawning in as the Teal Human down on the lower right side of the map. So he's going to be going with the Archmage first. Very standard style, and of course, Infi known for his tower play. So will we see tower play in this game? It's a possibility. I don't know how, I don't think he necessarily plays super tower heavy anymore, but, he's human, right? So who knows what's going to happen? And what hero? We have a Panda first. A Panda first. I love Panda first against human players. You don't even know how much I love Panda first. It's almost as good as Naga first, in my opinion. Almost as good. It's not quite. It's so close, but it's not quite. But it's going to be wonderful. Look at this Wisp dodge. A wonderful Wisp dodge. The Footman trying to kill stuff. It just doesn't happen to get the damage off, I would say. So the Ancient of Wonders right there. It's going to probably be canceled at some point, but he might even keep it. There's a Footman around. I don't know. It's a pretty cheap building, and he wants one at any point, at some point anyway. And he can just uproot that and move it into a better spot if he wants to. Although it looks like with this foot and beating on it, he might end up canceling that at some point. I don't know. Over here, though, we can see that he is creeping out this camp right here, the shop, with his Ancient of War and 4 archers. Of course, you need a lot of archers generally when you go with a neutral hero. There is some exceptions to that depending on the map. For example, really, if you have a Dark Ranger on a lot of maps where you can just get lots of skeletons, it's not nearly as important to have a lot of units, but you probably still get 4 or 5 archers anyway. It's just really good versus the one that you get versus when you have a Demon Hunter first. You generally only get 1, maybe 2 archers, depending on the situation. But in this case, anyway, we're going to see 4. This Wisp is having a really bad day. He's still being chased by a Footman. It looks like the Footman actually finally decided to call it off once he realized he wasn't really going to catch that Wisp. He was probably going to go hide in a tree spot that he can't be attacked by one melee unit like that. So over here we can see that Infi is creeping out this with Militia, bringing some more Militia maybe? I don't know if those guys just got here. Looks like just one set of Militia, and those guys are going to probably try to put up an expansion right there. Meanwhile, of course, we have 2 Footmen actually harassing a Moonwell, and those 2 guys, this is really clever. This is a really cool, innovative style. I don't see this too often. But just sending 2 Footmen right there, it's really, really good because there's not a Demon Hunter to really stop them. So it's a very nice reactive play. This could be something that he does more commonly. I don't actually know if this is a meta thing that's changed or something, but if not, it's a very, very nice reactive play to seeing that Panda first. Over here we can see the Panda. This is wonderful cross-play action everywhere. The Panda is over here. He's trying to stop this expansion. He really wants to delay it. He wants to just go ahead and kill these peasants. He's got a lot of firepower with that Panda once it hits level 3 for taking down towers, but he does need to wait a little time, and it looks like that peasant actually was denied by the creeps, because that means no experience to the Panda, and the Panda, of course, is a hero that really, 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 really needs to get level 3. This is not the scroll, or this is not the scroll of Town Portal there. That was actually the Staff of Teleportation, so it's a reusable item. It's always good. You can use that as much as you want, really, minus the cooldown. Now, he did place a ward, of course. That was basically, you can hear it when a ward gets placed as a player, as the enemy player, and so he revealed for it. Unfortunately, he didn't quite kill it, and I don't know if he moved off screen and assumed it died. It looks like that. It looks like he did, because he kind of was not moving right there, so I would imagine he was down here microing his peasants or something. Over here we can see that the Panda is not... Oh, he is present. I was like, I don't know where he is. right here, going ahead and creeping that out, this camp out the laboratory with his Panda, his Ancient of War and stuff. He does pick up level 3 for the Panda, which is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. He's going to go ahead and potentially kill a footman with the Archer. He's just, I guess he really wants to take this down before it just delay the crap out of that as much as he can. And also, it's going to maybe potentially delay any like additional creeping that the human would want to do, but he is level 3, so he's not too concerned. And in fact, it looks like this is a great time just to get some peasant or some footman kills, and that's what he's going for. He's trying to block with the water elemental. He's done a good job, and that's pretty much going to probably ensure, along with these here, the militia block, that he has to use a Breath of Fire for those last two guys that basically only had like 1 hit left in them. So ideally the Panda would have went up and just smacked him because he does have his Boots of Speed now, but he wasn't able to do that because of a really good micro from Infi, which is great. He did take out that Arcane Tower with those archers, meanwhile, while we were watching that footman stuff happen. So this game has like mass action, just so you know, appreciate that. It's all over the place. These guys are really good. I just wanted to point that out. These guys are really good. This is fantastic to watch. And over here we can see Huntresses are coming out. Huntresses are a really good unit in this situation because Huntresses deal excellently with the footman. They deal excellently with harass, and they're just really strong units on their own. And since we're seeing just action everywhere, that's actually a really cool thing. Now we're seeing the shop going up this time for real for the elf player because he's about to, 1, hit tier 2, and 2, he really needs to get clarities out for that Panda, because the Panda runs through mana so quickly, so he needs to have the clarities out. The clarities are actually going to allow him to very much continue the harass and keep it up. And meanwhile, again, he's just going to go ahead and start creeping out with just the Ancient of War and some units down here. I'm surprised he doesn't have any wisps down here to repair the Ancient of War. But it looks like he actually doesn't need it because of the way he's microing things. So this is the kind of thing that you practice a whole lot to make sure that you don't screw it up in like a game that counts like this one right here. So you know that you don't need the wisps. Whereas so that's just like a one little thing, you know, that I'm trying to point out that professional players do. You know, they practice creeping, which some people actually, I was talking to someone, it was about a week or 2 ago. I don't remember exactly when. But on BNet, I logged in and I was talking to someone in a custom game, and he didn't think people ever practice creeping. And I was like, no. People practice the crap out of creeping. It's like super important in this game. So you have to know going into a creep in a good, like in a league match or something, that 1, you can consistently creep a creep out, and 2, what it takes to. So you don't end up in that situation where you're like 1 unit short because the harassment bad or something, and then you're like, should I try this, or will it go bad, etc. Stuff like that. It's really little things, but they're really important. And I'm not trying to go off on a tangent. So anyway, back to the game. We can see this is a pretty big Night Elf force right here. It's including some mercenaries right there, both the Forest Troll Shadow Priest and the Berserker, but the Priest is actually gonna, looks like he's gonna come over here and look for that human. Maybe you're gonna try to get some dispels or abolishes off on a water elemental. No, they're all just gonna run past. Meanwhile, these guys right here, this elf force, is going to do a whole lot of damage trying to take down these towers, but not too much. But the Panda will staff in, so if this goes too bad, he could TP out if he needs to. But there's a Breath Fire right there. Unfortunately, that Panda is right there in the range of one of those arcane towers and just lost quite a bit of mana right there, taking about 5 or 6 hits from it, which is not ideal. This is a wonderful Zeppelin to have. It's always good to have a Zeppelin. It, 1, allows you to go ahead and cast a Scroll Regeneration and pop them into the Zeppelin. In this case, he doesn't have that, but he can go ahead and save them by putting them into that Zeppelin just like that. As you can see, 4 very low HP footmen that, if they hadn't had the Zeppelin right there, would have almost certainly died to a Panda Breath of Fire that was coming pretty soon. He does have not only that Wand of Mana Stealing for mana regeneration, he also has the Potion of Mana and the Clarity, so he's pretty well set for mana. So he's going to be able to do a whole lot of basically big Breath of Fires right here, and that's a big one right there. Absolutely a huge one that canceled a Scroll of Regeneration, and as you can see, a lot of those guys are really low, so they can't really take another one. They have to go back, they have to back up, they have to heal up before they can continue the fight. This Panda is simply too strong for them. The Panda is such an excellent counter to having a lot of low HP ground units that are not magic immune, like footmen or peasants, etc., casters even. It's just really good, so it's wonderful to have that as that first hero, especially on a map like this where there's not a whole lot of experience for your second hero if you do creep up, you know, to try to keep pace with the opponent. So going Panda first is really fun, and it's just really cool, but of course it has like an exciting playstyle that we've been witnessing. So down here we can see finally Infi has begun to tech up. He's at his keep. It took him a while. He had to stabilize up here at this expansion before he could really afford to, but of course, you know, Thu over here, he's been tier 2. He's getting his, I don't even know what this is called actually, Nature's Blessing upgrade, the one that gives you the armor. I think it's I think it makes it like, I think your armor goes up to 6 on like your Tree of Life, so I think it's like 4 armor on your buildings. I'm not sure if that's uniform across all buildings, but it also makes them walk faster, so it lets your buildings be a whole lot stronger, one against harass and tanks, and less expos are easier. But over here we can see he's trying to take down the Zeppelin. It's got some units in it, and it's kind of being used as bait by Infi, saying, well, I know you want to attack that, you want to attack the guys that I got on the field killing your stuff, maybe if you do that. So we'll see how that goes. It worked out pretty well for him, and in fact, of course, Thu is now running away. Infi is, of course, running through up here at the top. He's just going to try to probably come over here, I would assume, to this shop, maybe pick up a Heal of Scrolling, which would be a really nice item. He has the expansion to support buying it. I know it's 250 gold, but it really cancels out one of the Breath of Fires pretty well and allows you to keep fighting. It's a really, really good item, and plus he's got a lot of kind of lowish HP units as is, so it wouldn't be too bad if he picked one up, and he hasn't. He decided not to, which it's not a bad choice. The reason that I can assume he's not doing that is simply because of a timing issue. There's got to be some kind of timing that he's trying to hit right now, where he's trying to delay, just because, and it's a good timing. As you can see, the tech just went up for Thu, and so this is actually very interesting. It's because literally the tech just went up, and of course this Zeppelin's getting a lot of use. You could Breath of Fire the Zeppelin, it won't kill it at 250 HP, so you could do that if you wanted to, but it's mana, and mana is very precious. It's super, super precious on that Panda, and we're seeing some very nice micro coming out, just killing 2 of those Huntresses right there. He does have to, he's kind of working on the 4-stroke Berserker right now. There isn't a staff on the Panda, at least not a staff that allows him to staff out units, but that guy will be able to walk away from those water elementals. They are kind of slow and get to his Moonwells, and which are, again, very precious because they give you very important things like health and mana, but of course mana is just so precious in this matchup when you've got a Panda, so you have to be very much, you got to be very careful to not overdo things, right? Because if you overdo using the Moonwells during the day, it's kind of a problem. But right now it's going to be night, the beginning of night, which is wonderful for him. It means he can go ahead and use those Moonwells a little bit easier with a little bit more of a clear conscience. He actually hasn't done it for that 4-stroke Berserker just yet, or on that Dryad, and will he be able to keep anything alive right here? It looks like he might lose that 4-stroke Berserker, potentially. There's these guys, the Moonwells have already been used, so there's not quite, he's trying to micro it. Oh, he barely keeps that alive. Wonderful play right there, but of course there are a lot of guys. He's going to try to block with that Shredder, maybe just a little bit. He's microing, but the 4-stroke Berserker does go down. Here comes a big hit from that Breath of Fire right there, and you can go ahead and see that this is just going to get level 5 on the Panda. All of these units are going to die right here, at least all these low HP ones, kind of expensive units, and he's got these Wisps coming right out of his gold mine to repair that Goblin Shredder. That's something you can do. It is a mechanical unit, so you can absolutely repair it and get it right back into that fight. It does a lot of damage, 34 to 61. It doesn't attack that slow either, so it's very nice. It's got that big damage range because it's a neutral instant buy, but it's definitely very powerful if he wants to bring that out into the fight again. He doesn't have to, he doesn't need the wood, so I guess he's going to work on that. As you can see, he's only got 98 wood right now, and these units are incredible. They're very cheap on gold, but they're very incredibly expensive for wood. Which is one of the reasons that elves benefit from a Shredder so much, because, depending on how they play, sometimes it's one of those plays where you'll see them go ahead and have a lot of Wisp, just because their Wisp are good units in a lot of matchups for lots of different reasons, dispelling things that are summons, dispelling things like slow burning mana through casters, etc. So they're really worth having, and if you're going to have them anyway, then you don't need the Shredder, because if you have a bunch, then they do okay on wood generation, but just having a few, if you have 4 or 5, that's probably not going to be quite enough, especially because they also get used to build buildings and stuff. So a Shredder does give you some flexibility in that route, especially if you have Dryads and you don't need to dispel, which is what we're seeing here. Now this is insane. The Panda already is about halfway through level 5. The Archmage is not quite to level 5 just yet, but he is also very close. We're only about 13 minutes in the game, so this is very interesting. Of course, we see some ivory towers on the Archmage, so what is he planning to do? I don't quite know, but here we can see these 3 Dryads. They're kind of slowing down the Archmage, chasing him around. He does have to be very worried right now because 2 Breath of Fires would finish him off, so he needs to be very careful. It looks like he wants to use the Breath of Fire, as a final finisher. Almost had it, but of course Infi was a little bit smarter there and went ahead and TP'd out, and of course that means that he didn't even take any damage from the Breath of Fire, but that's fine. We can see that this Zeppelin right here is very low. I mean, it's sitting on 12 HP. It's trying to stay out of sight and just kind of be used as like a flying machine scout type thing, and we can look at his vision and see how effective that is, and it's pretty effective. It gives him some key information. Like this Ancient of War, as long as it's sitting here, it's very unlikely that this is being crept out, but he knows it's something that's coming. And also, if he was paying attention, we just saw that there was an expansion that was going up and just kind of walked right there, so it just kind of flashed into vision. So if you'd seen that, because generally if you see some units on your map, you might want to snap over and look at and see what's going on there. But either way, he does know that's happening, and he's putting up these ivory towers right here. He's going to kind of try to make this his fortification area, and of course we can see that he's actually got Magic Sentry, so he can see invisible units, but also a really cool thing he can do is now use the reveal ability on those arcane towers, so that'll be very useful as well. And he's going to come in here now that this is a really good timing on this creep. None of the really important, well, actually, I guess the 2 little level 3 guys have died. I think they're level 3 anyway. So those guys died, and that's experience over the Panda. But actually, it's not experience of the Panda at all because he's level 5. So there you go. No experience whatsoever coming from this creep. He just needs it for the expansion to be cleared out. The Panda getting fairly low, but he's still trying to kill the Dryads first because those guys are just a major problem for microing when you're slowed down like this. And you can just see it's just a big issue. And Dryads do a pretty good amount of DPS against units. It's not the best. Also, here comes a Demon Hunter out as the second hero, which is going to be wonderful for burning mana on the Archmage, for burning mana on the Mountain King, etc. And in fact, he's going to force that Archmage out of here very, very low, and he's going to try to run that Panda away from the Mountain King. Doesn't really want it to get bolted again, and goes ahead and pops that Clarity as he gets TP'd out. And then he can finish off this creep utilizing just the Demon Hunter, which will allow him to get a fair amount of XP, maybe level 2, no, not level 2, but it'll get fairly close to level 2, which is not bad at all either. The Panda, of course, is very close to level 6, so he's definitely want to keep on winning to probably take some fights, etc. here pretty soon, and we'll see if that actually happens. A Cannon Tower. I love Cannon Towers. Cannon Towers are super good against Dryads. You have to constantly micro them. It's like you're against a Mortar that just has like 660 life and fortified armor and 6 armor at that. It's very difficult to take this thing down, and I say it's very difficult, but it's more difficult than normal towers because it has more life. And it's got crazy good range, 800 range. I think it's the longest range of a tower, I think. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but I think so. Anyway, so here we're going to see this. Does that do any? Oh, it does. Look, I didn't even know that anti-magic shell. Is that actually, or am I wrong? Does it immune him to the feedback? It looks like it does. I think it does. I don't know. If it does, I learned something new. Either way, he popped that just to tank these towers, which was cool. Of course, it did switch over to the Demon Hunter, so the Demon Hunter didn't have one of those, and so he's taking damage. And I could be wrong about that. I don't know, but I can't imagine him using it for any other reason, and it seemed to work. So I'll have to try that out later, and then I can tell you guys if I find out, if I remember to, etc. But I kind of, that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't even know. Anyway, so over here you can see that the human player, Infi, wants to go for another expansion right here. Putting up some Arcane Towers and a Cannon Tower. Actually, an Arcane Tower, a Guard Tower, and a Cannon Tower. A very nice mix of towers. Will he be able to keep all of those up? Perhaps. Now, the Guard Tower, in my opinion, is the least important one. I think the Cannon Tower or the Arcane Tower are the two most important to take down. But it's not going to matter. He does have these 3 bear form guys coming in, so those guys, it's pretty much all toast. And all of them did, in fact, die. So the Priest, a very important target to take down. You really want to kill the Priest whenever you have a Breaker Priest army, because the core of that army is always going to be the Priest right there, keeping everything alive. But he did get staffed out, so that Priest does live. And he's just going to kind of run into here. And again, he does want to take these fights. He needs to get level 6 on the Panda, and there it is. Level 6 has been picked up. And once you have that, you have a little bit of security, because that means that now not only is your Panda super useful as just like a mana damage dealer type thing, he's also super useful as a tank, and then he's super useful as like, not only, you know, he's got control, he's got Cyclone. When he goes into his ultimate form, he's got like this Whirlwind that has like a little critical thing, so he's got lots of DPS. The Fire Elemental has like an AoE and does high DPS, is just auto attacking. So it's really good. He can't use items during that time though, so he probably wants to put the TP onto the Demon Hunter. It would be a really good call, in my opinion, because if something goes wrong while he's in the Panda Ultimate, he's got the TP. Then again, he might not have even taken the Panda Ultimate in this situation. It would be that bad to have the Haze at level 3. So I don't know. I don't know what he's taken. We'll have to wait and see. But I wish, that's the thing I really wish we could find out in replays, if we could just see their skills, because I can see very good arguments for either the Ultimate or the other thing, the level 3 on Haze. It's just a really good AoE. And we got 2 tanks up here at this expansion. This is kind of a big deal. He has to deal with this, so he's going to probably staff. Yeah, it's a staff over. And he's going to go ahead and Breath of Fire these things down. And Breath of Fire works excellently on tanks, as you just saw right there. It's just a wonderful AoE. It's a great way to deal a lot of damage. 200 damage per Breath of Fire right there, as you can see. And in fact, he is criticaling. So it's not a very big critical. So I think instead of level 6... I don't know what he's taken. I would guess he has level 1 Panda Brawl. Then his mana is probably, all of his mana is gonna be tied up in just Breath of Fire. So I know he has at least 1 level of Haze, unless he retrained out of it, but I don't think he did. So I would assume at this point that he has 1 level of Haze, probably just for if he needs it, but maybe not really. Just having the Breath of Fire would be really good. Of course, it would be really nice to Haze Fire on to the casters, but if they have Dispel at some point, which they currently don't, then it's counterable a little bit. If you dispel the Haze as it hits before the fire hits, you can dispel it, and then you can kind of counter the combo. So Maybe that's what he's thinking. I don't know. I think, yeah, but I think that's what it is. I think he's gone for 1 level of Haze, 2 levels of Pandarian Brawler, or Drunken Brawler, and then 3 levels of Breath of Fire. That seems to be the case. And up here we have the Ancient of War, so that guy is just going to chill out and try to fend off tanks. 1 tank's not really a big deal for an Ancient of War. 2 tanks a little overwhelming, so if you can get a couple more tanks, though, then they can actually do a whole lot of damage. And in fact, we're starting to see some mortar team production. We got a mortar team down here. Now, we might be seeing Invis mortars. These are levels adept sorceresses, so they can cast invisibility, and Invis mortars is always fun. Here we can see a reveal coming in from one of those arcane towers, just going ahead and saying, yeah, you know, I'm going to see there's a panda here. Let's go ahead and find him. Let's go ahead and see if we can do some damage. Cast Bolt on him. Why not? Storm Bolt's a great item. Yeah, and then you can see partly how useful having Drunken Brawler is, because if you miss on the Mountain King's attacks, you can actually dodge things like Bash, which is really nice. Of course, will we see that? We can actually, you'll see the animation play for the bash. If he hits a bash and it misses, it'll still miss. So you can see when it happens. So it's kind of rare, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's definitely worth having. It's not a bad item at all. And also, of course, having Critical Strike work on siege tanks is wonderful. Just letting your panda like come back and just deal with a couple of tanks is just a really great use for me, especially because he's super mobile with that Staff of Teleportation and the boots. Again, kind of a slow hero compared to like some of the fast heroes, even with boots, but it's not too bad. And we're about to see an attack onto the expansion. Coming in from Infi. And he is just going to go ahead and start wailing on this. He has mortars in the back. How many is that? 4 mortars and a shredder. That's a lot of damage. Gone ahead and Storm Bolted the Panda. The Panda does need to get a pretty good Breath of Fire off right in this region. Coming in maybe like this, or maybe just really focusing on the mortar teams. There's that level 1 Haze, and in fact, there's a Haze Fire right there trying to take these guys down. This is 1 mortar team that's getting healed. Will it go down? No, it's going to live, and also Holy Lighted. Unfortunately for Thu, his expansion has been killed. It's been taken out, but Thu being Thu, he already had a second expansion ready in kind of a more remote area of the map. And this is something Infi's been working on getting up for a while. He's not really got it up, but he's getting pretty close to having it secured. The problem is that when you have all these towers, these are all, and you can hit all of those towers with 1 well-placed Breath of Fire, I believe, just from right about here. If not, maybe one of them wouldn't get hit, but I think if you're right here and you kind of cast it this way, it would hit all of those towers most likely. If not, it might miss this one or this one, but it can hit, you know, at least 4 or 5 of those towers in one go, which is pretty good. But it's a kind of a problem you can't really design too much around, because you got to clump up your towers in some way, otherwise they just aren't very useful. Looking at the food counts, you can see that going into this fight, Thu is sitting at 65 versus Infi's 75 food count, so there we go. And how does this fight go into the favor of the human player, I would assume, because he's got a nice, all these towers are right here, they're being benefited, but the Panda ultimate has actually gone off, and he is level 6, so he actually has 1 level of Drunken Brawler, 1 level of ultimate, 3 levels, of course, of Breath of Fire, if I can remember the word. And he's using the Panda just to take down those towers and probably try to stop the expansion while kind of fighting a delayed fight, I think. I don't think he's expecting to win this fight. A wonderful invisibility cast on that Mountain King as he was getting low, trying to dodge a mana burn, I think, but unfortunately didn't quite manage to work. And he is actually forcing the human player back, because the human player has to keep repositioning against these bears. He has to utilize that slow in order to win the fight. Which is good. The human can definitely win this fight without a doubt, but he does have, you can see just how it's like this kind of strategy, this style where he has to back up, he has to deal with that. And meanwhile, the Panda just dominated all of those towers. 1 more Breath of Fire, he could have taken out 3, maybe even 4 peasants. So that's not going to happen, but he does have to TP out because he has to save as many bears as he can. And we're seeing a staff for the Mountain King all the way over back to the shop at the main base, so he can kind of buy some stuff, sell some stuff as well. I think he wanted to Clarity, probably a Scroll of Regeneration, I would assume. And is he stuck? I think he's actually stuck. What? Oh, that is a shame. I think there might be enough space that he could place an ivory tower on top of him and pop out right here, but there's no real need to do that, because he can go ahead and just chop down this tree and get out. A bit of a minor mistake, but that's okay.
Research finished.
You know, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. It definitely looks like you could walk there, but if you know anything about cliffs, you can see that the tile map is just a little bit wonky right there, and that's because that is just a stretched texture across like a weird space. So that's one way. If you have it that close eye, you can kind of see, oh, that's not walkable on because the texture is stretched out. That's a pretty easy way to tell. But Regardless, it doesn't really matter. Over here we can see this fight going again. Once again, Thu really wants to take this expansion out, but he's going to have a hard time. There's so many reinforcements in the way of militia right now, which is really good for the Panda to deal with, but it's not that great. And also, I think the Stormbolt went on to the Panda, but it missed slightly because it delayed, and the Demon Hunter just could not get away from that. He was slowed down just slightly too much, and he tried as he might, though it just wasn't enough. Now here comes Infi to take out this expansion right here, and this is going to be a potential problem. Of course, Thu does have a second gold mine up here, but this army he's going to have a hard time to deal with because he is sitting at 50 food and Infi is sitting at 79. So Infi having a pretty nice advantage in that regard. And wow, I mean, just look at this. It's not even close, but of course the Panda is just super powerful against mortar teams, as you can see. And he went ahead and killed quite a few right there, of quite a few units anyway. And while Thu is trying really hard, I don't know, is he going to be able to, or trying really hard to win the game, I should say at this point. He's got a pretty big challenge ahead of him right now. He's trying, I don't know why I keep saying he's trying, but there you go. So here comes the Panda's ultimate, and once again, he is going to do some serious work with that. But is it going to be enough to actually take all this stuff down and win this fight? Potentially, hopefully for him. His style with the bears, where he's forcing the human to run away, again, it's not really that great in this situation. And in fact, now they're actually not running away; they're just chasing the elf. So that's not good. And level 3 on the paladin is a really bad thing. Once that paladin hits level 3, the Mountain King is probably never going to die. That's not good, and the Paladin's probably also never going to die, and the Archmage is probably never going to die. So that's a bit of an issue, and it's starting to look pretty poor right now for Thu. Unfortunately, I don't know what to say, but he is doing some nice work right now. He's taking these Spellbreakers down one by one. Killing the casters with the Panda is really good. He's out of mana on the Panda, though. That is an issue that you can't deal with that. He has to staff to the Moonwells. He has to go or to the shop, something. And also there's a siege engine in here just kind of doing a little bit of damage. Not too bad, nothing too bad. Because of course he didn't kill the main. The main is over here, but the main's also getting attacked by a siege engine. And it looks like the human has clearly and significantly won that fight, and Thu's army's pretty much not doing too well. The Demon Hunter does come back out. He's level 3. That's wonderful for him. Level 7 on the Paladin, or the Panda. And let's see. Thu, though, sitting at 29 or 30 food, 26 out of 30 food, not going to be enough. He's at 26 out of 20 food. Unfortunately, he's just losing. He just doesn't have enough money. He doesn't have any money. He has 0 gold, and he just can't do anything with it. And he doesn't have any gold. I was in my head, I was reading he's got 2,600 lumber. I was like, but he can't do anything. And then I realized what I said. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, so he's having a lot of trouble here. I don't think he's going to win this fight. His units are all very low, and he's on the retreat. Aw, man, Infi played so well this game. This is the 3rd game in the series, and it looks like Infi's going to win. So I'm not going to do the first 2 because those games are, well, I don't want to spoil anything. They're not bad games, but I'm not going to do them. So if you want to check those games out, they are on replays.net. I'll link to them in the description below. The wonderful save on that Demon Hunter, really good play. But it's not going to matter one bit. As you can see, all these tanks rolling in. There's really no way that Thu can deal with that. It looks to me like this is completely over. And in fact, I can see this at the bar, so I know it is. It's completely over, and it's going to end any minute because this is the last hope that Thu had. And as you can see, these buildings are going down, towers are up. Every other gold mine is pretty much taken, and there's really nothing that Thu can do right now. But he put up a great show, absolutely wonderful show, fantastic play from both players, an exciting game, a really wonderful game, really fun. And there's the good game. Infi wins. So I'm kind of spoiling the series because this is the 3rd game, and so Infi wins the 3rd game. But if you want to watch the first 2 series, like I said, the replays will be linked below in the description to the replays.net counterpart. And that's pretty much it for this. I will say, before I go, I was drinking cold coffee the entire time. Just so you know, I've been drinking cold coffee. I just took a glorious sip of it. And it wasn't supposed to be cold. It was supposed to be hot, but I had to go to class after I made my coffee, and I was like, I'm not going to leave my coffee pot plugged in because I don't trust it. It might, set the house on fire, though I'm not in a house. I'm like a dorm, but it might set the dorm on fire, and then that's not going to happen. So I unplugged it, and so I came back to cold coffee, and I was like, whatever. I'll drink it anyway. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you that. I don't know why, but there you go. Now you know. Now you know. I'm drinking cold coffee. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Goodbye. God.